Dude, listen. Pixel Gun just got a PC port, so I'm gonna do a video about Pixel Gun and Pixel Strike.
Why would you do that?
Because it's cool.
No, the fuck it's not.
Well, fuck you. How about that? You're stupid.
No, you're stupid.
I was actually making a video about Pixel Strike for my own channel before I got distracted by a certain bald sexy man. And also BattleBit consumed my life because BattleBit is really fucking good. An issue I came into while making that video is people don't really know the difference between Pixel Gun and Pixel Strike. Well, now they do because Pixel Gun has a PC port, and now Pixel Strike looks kinda bad. But what may surprise you is that Pixel Strike is a significantly better game by a wide margin. I really do not like Pixel Gun all that much anymore. But let's get all that out of the way and let's get right into it. Why don't I like it? I mean, you'd think it'd be pretty good. If you've watched videos on my main channel, such as my sniper video, you know that I am an absolute mobile game fiend. I am a Payday Crime War enjoyer, I am a COD mobile player, I was a Pixel Gun player. Why would I not like this port? Well, it's Pixel Gun. That's what's wrong with it. It isn't classic Pixel Gun like everyone wanted. It's still modern Pixel Gun. Now you may be wondering what's wrong with that. Or you may be going, oh, I guess I shouldn't play it. And there's a very good reason for that. Pixel Gun back in the day, talking 2013 to 2016, was such a fun time. It was so entrenched in that time period of Minecraft clones, creepypastas, stuff like that. Things that a lot of people my age have a lot of nostalgia for. Nowadays, that's still there, but there's a lot of caveats. The main one being the monetization. If you've played it post 2016, you probably know the monetization is terrible. You give them 20 bucks and you just get a gun that is statistically better than everything else and is not fun to play against. And that is still how it is now. But it's even worse on PC. Some of the best weapons are snipers and you just get domed. It is ridiculous. This game honestly was not made to have fluid keyboard and mouse control, and it's readily apparent anytime you play against one of the higher tier weapons. The pay to win is so bad, it almost makes you consider playing the classic version. But then, you know, the modded classic version is still clunky and bad. So, Pixel Gun as a whole is not that great. But this video is about 2 games, and it's only been 2 minutes. That other game is Pixel Strike, of course, and Pixel Strike actually has a lot of differences to Pixel Gun, just fundamentally as a game. Now, I know that I just went on a giant tangent about the monetization of Pixel Gun and how bad the balancing is, but I actually want to go a little deeper and discuss the basics of the gameplay a little bit. In most circumstances, it would be pretty self-explanatory, especially if you've played it at all, but given that we're comparing the 2 games, it's important to see where they differ. Pixel Gun is a lot closer to classic arena shooters than it is to anything like Call of Duty or Counter-Strike. To start with, you guys know the perk system? You know, the one that every single game released since COD 4 has had, including Pixel Strike? Pixel Gun doesn't have those. You know, the 2-gun weapon limit, a primary and a secondary weapon? Yeah, Pixel Gun doesn't have that. In Pixel Gun, you carry a variety of different weapons that all have different roles. In effect, you always have what you need in Pixel Gun, which is one of the things that kind of adds to the bloat in the monetization. You have a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and then you have a sword, and then you also have a launcher and a sniper, and then another special weapon, I guess? There's a lot of weapons in this game, and you basically have one for every situation you need. They have special effects, like you can freeze enemies, burn them, cause bleeding. Some are piercing, some have bullet trails that make you easier to spot. There's a lot of variety. And I know you're probably expecting me to say, if you pay for it, but no, even if you're not paying for it, there is a good bit of variety, and they are all really fun and satisfying. Especially now on PC, the game feels much better to control than it did back in the day. They even have crouching in the third-person game modes, which is thrilling. You may be wondering, third-person game modes? I don't remember those. Well, yeah, they've added a couple things. There's now like a free roam mode where you just kind of go around the map and shoot people. To be honest, it's kind of weird and half-baked, and that's probably because it's basically an exact copy of the Battle Royale mode, which is a Battle Royale mode. To be honest, there's nothing special that I can really say about it. It's very self-explanatory and does nothing to set it apart from other Battle Royale modes. It doesn't even have like unique mechanics. You drop in, you get weapons, and then you kill people. However, the balancing is kind of ridiculous. Usually in Battle Royale games, they up the time to kill. Like in Warzone, you have armor plates. In Fortnite, you have shields. They don't do that in this game, so you just kind of die and get beamed, which is really funny, especially if you get the RPG. Now, those are all the things you probably don't expect to see when you open the game up now, but there are a couple more things I want to go over before getting to Pixel Strike. Number 1, the campaign is still there, and my lord, I have so much nostalgia for this. Gonna be honest, it is probably one of the worst parts of the game. It hasn't been updated in a very long time. The enemies start repeating themselves after like 30 minutes, and there's not a whole lot of variety. It feels very underbaked. It feels very much like classic Pixel Gun, but that's why I love it, because I miss it, and it reminds me of my childhood. Speaking of my childhood, they removed the original free play mode, which I mean is probably a good thing, because basically all I did on there was get groomed, which Now, at this point, if you're not familiar with these two games, you may be thinking to yourself, golly, that is a lot more than I expected when I clicked on this video. Man, I wonder what Pixel Strike has in store for me. And it is not nearly the same amount of content. Pixel Gun has been actively supported for just about 10 years now. Pixel Strike came out in about 2019, so much less going on there. Now, if you're a simpleton of sorts, you may be saying to yourself, if Pixel Strike doesn't have the same variety of modes that Pixel Gun does, then why exactly would I play it over Pixel Gun? And to those people I would say, well, keep watching the video because I'm going to tell you. And also, are you 10 years old, maybe? Kind of strange, dude. Anyway, earlier I mentioned that Pixel Gun has a lot more in common with old school shooters such as Quake than it does with anything involving Call of Duty, and Pixel Strike is the exact opposite. In fact, until a recent update, I would say Pixel Strike was pretty dang similar to COD 4, which, if you don't know, is one of the granddaddies of the modern shooter, and is one of the most vanilla experiences you can have nowadays. Now, some people who are much smarter and much better at video production would probably call it retroactively cliched, which, I mean, that's a pretty good phrase. Thanks, Racevic. I'll be stealing that from now on. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering, if COD 4 is retroactively cliched, and Pixel Strike is pretty similar to COD 4, then why doesn't it suck? Well, because the groundwork that COD 4 laid is pretty dang phenomenal. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but just about every single FPS game of the last 15 years has taken its core from COD 4, or at least some aspects, so it was pretty dang influential, so that's not really saying much. Alright, now that we have all that out of the way, let's actually get into why I think Pixel Strike is better than Pixel Gun. The first reason might be pretty obvious to some of you. Pixel Strike is a much more recent game, and as such, it has a lot more modern conventions. While that does mean it restricts you to 2 weapons, it also means that its gunplay feels a lot better, specifically its time to kill. Pixel Gun has a pretty long time to kill, which in non-nerd terms means it takes a lot of bullets to kill someone, which can make some guns feel unsatisfying. And it also exacerbates the issues when you have high-tier weapons that just decimate everyone. Pixel Strike is able to sidestep these issues in multiple ways. First of all, there's no monetization that actually affects gameplay. It is full in on customization, and even then, it's not nearly as egregious as Pixel Gun's monetization. And secondly, because it's modeled after shooters such as Call of Duty, its time to kill is much lower, so guns feel a lot more impactful, and more importantly, consistent. No matter what you're using, everything feels like it has a good amount of punch to it, and everything feels useful. It doesn't have the problem that Pixel Gun has, where whoop-de-doo I leveled up, unlocked a new gun, or I gave the money, and now everything before it is useless. That is not the case. Everything in Pixel Strike's arsenal is completely cohesive, so you have weapons that all serve their own purpose and aren't made totally useless by later unlocks, which adds a lot of variety to the gameplay and makes it feel a lot more expansive than Pixel Gun ever will be, because you never have that nagging feeling that, oh, I could be doing better if I use something else in the back of your head. There's no number that just straight up says, this gun is statistically better. And for that, I applaud the developers. It would have been really easy for them to go down that road of just making everything better and selling better guns, but they didn't. And it makes the gameplay so much more fun. Now, the moment-to-moment gameplay not being ruined by corporate greed is already a pretty good thing in Pixel Strike's favor, but it also has much better level design, which honestly is not something I expected when I played it for the first time. Pixel Gun has pretty iconic maps, and honestly, they're pretty well designed and they flow pretty well. However, Pixel Strikes seem to have much more thought put into them. For instance, Nuketown. It's a pretty iconic map. It's in every single Black Ops game, and for good reason. It's simple and it's easy to shoot people on it. Now, both of these games have a Nuketown clone. However, Pixel Guns decided to expand the map, which normally I think would be something that's pretty cool. I like exploring out of bounds areas and stuff you normally don't see. However, it hampers the gameplay because it splits up the map more than it should. Pixel Strike keeps it simple. They keep their maps dialed in. There's only a couple of maps where they really just let their creativity flow, and those maps are honestly really fun, especially for game modes like Infection. The mall map is legitimately one of the coolest maps in the entire game, and it's really entertaining. I love all the references and jokes. There's even the entirety of Five Nights at Freddy's 1, which helps it keep some of that charm that Pixel Gun has, so you're not losing all of it by switching to Pixel Strike. Now, the maps are about the same caliber, and there's more useful weapons to boot. But what else does it have over it? Well, the customization is more in-depth for one. It copies the system from COD 4 basically exactly, which you may think is a bit of a bad thing, but I think it's still better than Pixel Gun's system. The perks are kind of generic, not gonna lie. You may have higher expectations if you've played later installments in the Call of Duty series, and you may be disappointed to see that some of the perks are lifted straight from COD 4, such as Juggernaut and Stopping Power, but I still think it adds a lot to customization. What adds even more to customization is the attachment system. Now previously, every gun had like 2 or 3 attachments. You had 2 scope options, one of which was useless, a grip, a silencer, and a laser. But now there's more optics, there's just more options in general. Everything feels like you can get it exactly how you want it to, specifically on ARs and SMGs. Other weapons are lacking in customization like that, specifically the snipers, but to be honest, they don't kinda need it. And I'm of the opinion that more customization is sometimes a bad thing. I'm gonna be honest, modern Call of Duty games, you don't need 7 attachments on one gun. It's kind of excessive. Speaking of that, not being excessive is kind of how I would describe the entirety of Pixel Strike. Everything feels exactly how it should be. It's not too much or too little, it's fine-tuned, and it just feels great to play. Now, there are some things that don't feel great to play. To start off with, this is an issue that applies to both of the games. The netcode is not very good. I can't tell if it's worse in Pixel Gun because of the longer time to kill, or Pixel Strike because of the shorter time to kill. All I do know is that it's frustrating to seemingly have my health bar instantly deleted or die behind walls, basically constantly, no matter how good my ping is. It's an issue that persists in both games. Hopefully it'll get better. I don't remember it being this bad in the past, especially not when I was making the last video, but it's something to be aware of. Sometimes the servers suck, and that's to be expected with smaller titles. Aside from that, there aren't really many game-breaking issues in Pixel Strike, which is more than I can say for Pixel Gun. It's a pretty fun game all throughout, which is why I'm level 57 just playing casually when I'm bored. Honestly, neither of these games are really in-depth enough to warrant your time when you're not just kinda hanging around. But if you are hanging around, you should add them to your Steam library and play them. They're pretty dang fun. But I know that most of you won't, because that isn't the demographic for this channel. Why am I making this video again? I think I should be talking about skateboards or something. I don't know, I just work here, dude.
And... well, that didn't take too long. What am I supposed to do now?
I think we're on the interstate for this whole thing.
This might be the greatest game ever.